Good afternoon and welcome to Markets Today. I'm your host, Mbithe Mwema. It's the middle of the week, very exciting times for the stockbrokers today. The NSE is literally on fire. We've seen a lot of trades going through and we will be giving you an update of these trades that are happening and really if there's any corporate news that came out overnight that you need to be informed about. Before we take a look at what's happening on the Nairobi Securities Exchange, we just want to give you an update of what the legislature is actually doing today. The legislature, which is the MPs, are actually back from recess. They came back to Parliament yesterday, and that's after a month of closure. Today is a very interesting day, if not a pivotal day, for anybody who's looking at banking stocks. Honorable Jude Jomo will be presenting the amendment to the Banking Act, and this amendment was the proposal to actually remove the rate cap with regards to the ceiling on the pricing of loans by banking institutions and anybody who's been extending money under the oversight of the Central Bank of Kenya. The current proposal is to actually cap rates at 4 percentage points above the reference rate, which is the Central Bank of Kenya benchmark rate, and this prices the loans today at about 13%. This came into effect in 2016. The current proposal is to actually eradicate in totality this proposal, and this amendment will actually be on the floor of the Parliament in the afternoon session, and that's starting from today at about 2 to 2:30. We will be looking to see the sentiment of the legislators. They have been very averse to actually removing this cap, and they say it would be detrimental to economic growth, detrimental to their constituents in the different counties because of the adverse pricing that they expect from this. However, from the committee that's actually handling this particular amendment, we have seen proposals to actually defer and price money based on the risk of the underlying client, whether it's a retail client or an institutional client. We've also seen proposals that are saying, why don't we actually change the reference point? Rather than using the central bank rate, why don't we create a new rate that actually reflects the cost of money and what is happening in the financial sector with regards to supply and demand for money? So we still don't have any views on this, but we will be looking to see the sentiment from the MPs. Do they want a total repeal? We don't think that's going to happen, but we want to see if they're flexible enough to actually be open to adjusting and allowing for an adjustment to this prices so that the people who are holding the capital can be able to extend it to the private sector and really be able to be able to inject money into the economy, increase money supply, and hopefully we can begin to see some growth with regards to the private sector. We will keep you updated on that news. Now let's take a look at our graphics, and we have an outlay of what's happening with regards to corporate actions. Prior to us giving you an overview of what is happening with regards to the dividends that are upcoming either from last week or this week, we want just to give you a highlight of what's happening on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. We have seen a lot of volume going through, especially through the banking stocks. Barclays Bank, 23 million shares has been traded just before we came to this show, and that's a very huge sum. We hardly see any movement on Barclays Bank. Barclays is the best yielding banking stock when you talk about the dividend yield. It's actually at 10% dividend yield, and we suspect that the locals have been buying into this name to be able to defend their portfolios by having a high dividend paying stock as Barclays on their portfolio. 23 million is actually what has gone through the market. Safaricom has seen 14 million shares traded. Again, a lot of volume going through that particular counter today. This was foreign. The price is at 26.95. That is where it closed yesterday. Last week it went ex-dividend, meaning the 1.87 shilling ordinary and special dividend that was declared is no longer available to any new holders of the stock. At 26.95, we're still continuing to see demand there, mostly from the foreign side. Another interesting counter that we hardly ever hear of is Cooperative Bank. 6 million shares have traded. Yesterday, 3.78 million shares traded. We're seeing a lot of activity there. Yesterday was a net seller, a foreigner who was selling out of the particular counter today. At 6.44 million, we're actually seeing a bit of more activity there, largely from the demand coming from the local market. We are yet to confirm whether it's still the same net seller who was in the market yesterday selling, but interesting activity there for a counter that we hardly ever see any market activity. Coopbank is also one of the top 5 with regards to the gaining stocks over the day. It's up 8.74% as at trading today. We wait to see what it closes at. Hopefully it may be able to make the 10% mark. Now today we are looking at the NSC, and a report has been put out by NIC Capital Bank, September highlights. Where will you be able to make money if you're looking at the NSC? We will be looking at the corporate actions. Are there any dividend and price corrections we expect in this particular month? And more importantly, NSC 20 index. 20 index is actually down. It's at its lowest level over the last 10 years. Certainly an opportunity to actually begin to buy some of the stocks at a cheap level. NIC Capital has actually evaluated all of the the stocks listed on the NSE and come up with 6 top picks. And it has actually done a lot of fundamental research to tell us what is good about the stocks, what could be the potential driver for earnings and for dividend returns over the next 12 months. Elizabeth Wangeshi, who's the head of research at NIC Capital, will be helping us with this conversation. We take a short break to look at the daily commodities, what has been happening on the maize prices and beans prices. And always remember, we are streaming live on our YouTube page and on our Facebook page, and that's Metro World TV. Don't go anywhere. See you shortly.